All right, my lovely friends, we have just a couple more literal equations we didn't get to in class. So for those of you who are interested, I just wanted to show you a couple more. Um, these guys on slide 16 are not terribly difficult, but again, it's just showing you how you're already doing it and adding more letters or less letters. As we discussed in class, if you know inverse operations, don't panic. So in the first one on the left, we have three variables and one number. It's asking us to solve for y. Y is on top of our division bar and it's attached to that X. You can't break those apart until you get it off of the division bar. So remember, X plus Y divided by 2. We're going to work inverse operations, which the inverse of division is going to be multiplication. So we're going to multiply both sides by 2. Get 2A equals, and we have X plus Y left over because these guys cancel each other out. Beautiful. Now, again, neatness is key. Be careful you don't undo your smart work, your great work. So keep yourself in line. We're solving for y, our line of great divide, so we don't mix up positive negatives and just start shoving things together. Slow down is the biggest piece of advice I can possibly give you. So we have our y. It's attached to x by addition, and x is positive. So that means I have money. And if I have money in my pocket and I want to have no money, or I want to give it to someone else, I'm going to take it out of my pocket, which is subtract, or the inverse of positive is a negative. And then we end up with y by itself on this side because now we're at 0 equals. Like I said in class, the translation, for some reason, from the steps to the final answer is another place a lot of students get a little like hiccupy. Don't undo your genius. It was 2 times a. So 2 times a was our first step. And then we subtracted x. And now y is by itself, and you're rocking and rolling. So slightly easier, the second one, or again, we're going to solve for y. He's attached to the x of addition, and it's all on top of the division bar. So it's all on top of the division bar. We have to get that figured out first. Get rid of fractions. Nobody likes fractions. Unless we're eating pizza, right? I don't know if you're picking up yet. I love to eat. So we're going to multiply both sides by 3. And as in class, I said, why do we multiply? And that's because, again, it's the inverse of division. You're going to get tired of hearing me repeat myself, but all of a sudden it'll stick. And that obnoxious voice will be stuck in your head on EOC day. 3 times 5 is 15. We're still looking to get y by itself. And again, our line of great divide. The only reason that's really important for some people is, again, if you don't write particularly neat and work around those equal marks, you start losing negatives and positives and you shove everything to one side. Like, it's a unanimous mistake. Lots of people make it. You'll do 27 problems perfect, and 28 you all of a sudden think you're in the good grind and make a mistake. So accountability, slow down, neatness. Again, x and y are attached by addition. So we want y by itself. If I have $1 in my pocket and I want to give it to somebody on the other side, we are going to subtract. So these guys are gone. And now we have y equals, not like terms, we have a constant and a variable. So again, we have 15 from that multiplication, and then we subtracted x. Y is now by itself. You will not, if there are more than one variable in an equation, which we like to call literal equations, you will not come out with a numerical answer. I can't say that enough. Somebody's going to say it before the end of the semester. Well, why can't I just equal 4 or equal 5? If there's 2 variables, it will stay a mess. It's just a realigned mess. Now, slides 17 and 18, not particularly difficult, but I know my brain. In multiple choice, if I don't feel confident, I find an answer, but then I'll look at another answer and I talk myself out of it. So we definitely don't want to do that. So we're going to pretend like all the answers aren't there. So 4ab plus k equals 13. We are going to, if we're looking at our multiple choice for a second, though, because it doesn't give us directions, we are solving for k. Like, all of these are for k. So this is our stinky kid, line of great divide. And now we have to figure out what to move. We talked about it in live class. 4ab is 4 times a times b. In this case, that's not an issue because we're not trying to solve for a or b. We're trying to get k by itself. That whole chunk, which we could call it a 2x if we want to relate it to regular equations you've done back in classes prior, we want to move it away from k, so to the other side of the equal mark. So we're going to subtract it because it is positive attached by addition, and that is the inverse of addition. So minus 4ab. We're going to minus 4ab over here. These guys go away. We're now looking at k equals 13 minus 4ab, because we had the 13 and then we subtracted that whole puppy from that side. They assumed that you were going to think about division, multiple choice questions in Math 1, EOC, and really honestly, from this point forward in your math career, they're not kind. Like they know where you mess up. You have a lot of math, and even when you feel silly for messing up, I can't tell you enough, the patterns are exactly the same. In a classroom of 30 kids, 5 students do the exact same mistake at minimum if they're going to make one. So, knowing that, the people who make multiple choice questions also know that, and they want to confirm that you know exactly what you're doing. So they're going to give you what I call my oops or my dummy answer, like blind moment answer. Hopefully that's not offensive to anybody. Whatever way is not offensive, but you know what I mean. That answer is going to be there. K is now by itself. This is not particularly gorgeous, but there's our answer, and we're rocking and rolling. Look at number 18. Talking a little fast because, again, you guys sat through a long class today. We are going to first figure out what we're solving for. That's the only reason we want to look at our answers. Don't look past this. We're looking for A. So we're looking for this guy. We're gonna walk away from our answers so we don't talk ourselves into believing one is right because they know which wild hair directions your brain's gonna go in. So we're just gonna do the work. We need A by itself, and don't mind my crazy B that's overly attached to my 8. 8 and B, that is 8 times B, but we're not trying to separate those, so it's fine. We're going to disregard that multiplication conversation, but we see that it is subtracted from 7A. That means they add attached by subtraction. So that means I owe somebody 8 balloons. If I owe you 8 balloons to get us to good, I'm going to add 8 balloons. I'm going to hand you those 8 balloons, give them to you. That add. Subtraction means I owe you, add means I'm giving it to you. If I owed you 8 and I gave you 8, we're all good and we won't talk about it anymore. So 7A equals, again, this is that positive 8B. There's an X right there. There's a B right there. They're not like terms, so we can't combine them. So we're just going to write what we had and then what we did. What we had and then what we did. A is not quite by itself. Now we are discussing that is 7 times A. And the inverse of multiplication is division. So we're going to divide by 7 to make that guy go away. We're going to do the same thing to the other side. A lot of you guys wrote in already. You have to do the same thing to both sides or you change the math of the problem. Doing the same things to both sides, like I said, giving out candy to everybody keeps everybody happy and working in the same direction. So A equals, X and B are not like terms, 10 and 7, 8 and 7. You can't start doing anything crazy. So again, the fun part about these literal equations that stumps everybody is you can't usually make it much better. So you're done. And don't mind my crazy 9A. So A equals 10x plus 8b divided by 7. Now, go look at your answer choices because now you're not going to talk yourself out of anything. You have a solid answer. If you talked yourself through with my silent voice in your head, then you know you did it right, and our answer is going to be B. Honestly, I'm not really sure how they got so creative with these other guys. The two answers, I don't see the obvious misconception, except maybe in C, you lost your equal marks and you just started moving things out of the way without using actual order of operations. But guys, as always, thank you again. See you later. If you need something, holler. If you want more examples, just let me know. I got you.